Bhishma, originally named Devvrat, is one of the most complex and revered figures in the Hindu epic Mahabharat. Known as the grandsire or Pitama of both the Pandavas and the Kauravas, his life is a profound study of duty, sacrifice, and the tragic consequences of rigid vows. Bhishma was the eighth son of King Shantanu of Hastinapur and the river goddess Ganga. He was an incarnation of Prabhas, one of the eight celestial deities called the Vasus, who had been cursed to take human birth because they stole a celestial cow. Devavrat's transition to Bhishma, meaning the terrible, occurred when his father, Shantanu, fell in love with a fisherwoman named Satyavati. Her father refused the marriage unless Satyavati's children inherited the throne of Hastinapur. To ensure his father's happiness, Devvrat took two extreme oaths. The first oath was, he gave up his claim to the kingdom of Hastinapur. And second, he vowed never to marry or father children, ensuring no rival claims to the throne would arise from his lineage. Upon hearing these terrible vows, the gods showered him with flowers, and he was renamed Bhishma. Moreover, moved by this sacrifice, Shantanu granted him the boon of Ichhamrityu, meaning death only at a time of his choosing. Following King Shantanu's death, his younger son Vichitravirya ascended the throne. When it came time for Vichitravirya to marry, Bhishma attended the Swayamvar, a ceremony where princesses choose their husbands, of the three princesses of Kashi: Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. Following the ancient warrior custom of Rakshas Vivah, Bhishma single-handedly defeated all the assembled kings and abducted the three sisters to secure them as brides for his brother. Upon arriving in Hastinapur, the eldest princess, Amba, revealed she was secretly in love with King Salva. Bhishma honorably permitted her to leave. However, Salva rejected her because she had been won by another man. When Bhishma also refused to marry her, due to his vow of celibacy. Left with no options, Amba sought the help of Bhishma's guru, the mighty sage Parshuram. Parshuram commanded his disciple to marry Amba to restore her honor. Bhishma respectfully but firmly refused, stating that his vow of celibacy was absolute. This refusal triggered an apocalyptic 23-day duel between guru and disciple, as both warriors possessed celestial weapons. As the battle raged to a complete stalemate, Bhishma decided to invoke the Praswapastra, a weapon of slumber, which would have humiliated and defeated his guru. Before he could launch it, the gods and ancestral spirits intervened, stopping the war to prevent cosmic imbalance and declaring that Bhishma had maintained his warrior honor against the ultimate master. Bhishma won and was allowed to honor his vow of celibacy. A devastated Amba swore vengeance, performing extreme penance to eventually be reborn as Shikhandi, the instrument of Bhishma's death. The other two princesses, Ambika and Ambalika, married Bhishma's brother, Vichitravirya. King Vichitravirya died young without leaving an heir. To save the lineage, Satyavati begged Bhishma to marry the widows or father children through custom, but he stood by his vow. Therefore, sage Vyas was asked to step in as he was legally Satyavati's eldest son. Sage Vyas fathered two sons, Dhritarashtra and Pandu, one from each widow. As the generations progressed, Bhishma became the ultimate anchor of the kingdom. He raised both Dhritarashtra and Pandu's children, known as the Kauravas and the Pandavas respectively. He loved them equally and as his own. He even arranged for Dronacharya to train them in warfare. Bhishma watched with mounting helplessness as Dhritarashtra's blind love for his son Duryodhan sowed the seeds of hatred. Because his oath bound him to protect whoever sat on the throne of Hastinapur, he found himself legally enslaved to an increasingly corrupt regime, culminating in his tragic silence during the humiliation of Draupadi in the royal court. When war became inevitable, Bhishma was appointed the supreme commander of the Kaurav forces. He accepted this position under two strict conditions. First, he would not kill the Pandavas, as they were his grandchildren, and second, he would not fight if Karna was on the battlefield, due to personal friction. Despite his internal conflict, Bhishma fought like a devastating storm. For 9 days, he slaughtered thousands of Pandav soldiers, completely dismantling their strategies. His onslaught was so fierce that twice he almost forced Lord Krishna to break his own vow of not lifting a weapon during the war. Realizing that Yudhishthir could never win while Pitamaha Bhishma stood against them, the Pandavas visited Bhishma's tent at night to ask him how he could be defeated. Driven by his love for righteousness, Bhishma freely gave them the secret. He told them to place Shikhandi in front of Arjun. On the 10th day of the Kurukshetra war, the Pandavas used Shikhandi, the reincarnation of Amba, as a shield. Knowing Shikhandi was a woman in a previous life, Bhishma lowered his weapons. Arjun then pierced Bhishma's body with countless arrows. Bhishma fell, but because of his boon, he did not die immediately. His body was suspended off the ground by the arrows, creating a bed of arrows. He chose to remain alive until the sun entered the auspicious northern solstice known as Uttarayan in India. While lying on the arrow bed, Bhishma delivered the Vishnu Sahasranama, the 1000 names of Vishnu, and the Shanti Parv, a massive discourse on kingship, ethics, and liberation, to Yudhishthir. Bhishma will always be one of those characters in Hindu mythology who will forever be remembered. He will be remembered for his unyielding integrity, as he never broke his word, even when it led to personal suffering or the destruction of his family. He was the tragic hero who was caught between his personal morality and his professional oath of dharma. He was one of the few individuals in mythology who combined supreme martial prowess with profound spiritual wisdom. The life of Bhishma remains one of the most haunting and enduring tragedies of the Mahabharat. He was a man who possessed the strength to conquer the world and the wisdom to rule it, yet he spent his entire existence serving a throne he had renounced, protecting a lineage that wasn't his own, and fighting a war he desperately tried to prevent. Ultimately, Bhishma's legacy is defined by the very thing that made him great, his unyielding vows. While his absolute loyalty to his word elevated him to a state of legendary reverence, it also became his golden cage. By prioritizing a rigid, legalistic oath to the throne over the higher principles of moral justice. Most notably during the public humiliation of Draupadi, he inadvertently shielded the forces of corruption. His peaceful departure on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, choosing the exact moment of his own death after passing down his final, profound discourses on statecraft and spirituality, symbolizes his ultimate liberation. Bhishma did not just leave behind a legacy of unparalleled martial prowess. He left humanity with an eternal, cautionary lesson. That when duty is divorced from moral conscience, even the noblest of giants can be brought down by the weight of their own righteousness. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, so you can get notified when more videos like this are uploaded.